So I
So,
used to think when I worked in corporate many years ago that networking was going to an event where you had a badge on that said, "Hello, my name's Tracy." You walked around with coffee and then you tried to eat a buffet lunch off a plate whilst balancing a sandwich and your drink and talking to a stranger. I'd never mastered that and I hated networking events for that reason. Um,
hey everyone, it's Suzi from Transform Your Career Success, and I'm with Tracy. We've got another great episode that we're going to do for you today, where we're going to help share our tips and insights around how to grow your career. And we've got a great topic today, haven't we, Tracy?
yep.
Tracy, before we go into it though, do you just want to introduce yourself and then we can introduce the topic?
Yeah, so I'm Tracy, and my business is called Reforge Change. It's around all things change, but one of the things I am really passionate about doing is helping women who feel a bit stuck in their careers and want a bit of help getting their career to unlock their potential in their career, really.
And my business is exactly the same as Tracy's. We do serve slightly different audiences, but we've got so many synergies in our businesses and who we help that we thought, rather than doing this alone or just having a little offline debate between ourselves, we thought we'd do these tip videos to try and help you grow your career and take control of your own success. So today's video, we're going to talk about the power of your network in finding a new role and how to build your network, because many of you will be sat there thinking, I don't have a network that I can leverage to find a new role. So you might feel like you're starting from ground zero, but actually you're not. And that's what we want to help you with today.
So I
So,
used to think when I worked in corporate many years ago that networking was going to an event where you had a badge on that said, "Hello, my name's Tracy." You walked around with coffee and then you tried to eat a buffet lunch off a plate whilst balancing a sandwich and your drink and talking to a stranger. I'd never mastered that and I hated networking events for that reason. Um, but that isn't what networking is really. That's one aspect. Going to networking events is one aspect, but it's not what we mean when we talk about your network. Your network isn't also just LinkedIn. LinkedIn's like a massive part of building a network and finding people from your industry or your sector, but it isn't the only way to build a network. And I think sometimes people think, oh, I have to go to a hotel and mill around introducing myself to strangers that I've never met before, or I have to go onto LinkedIn and try and say something really interesting and sounding like I'm a sector expert in order to build my network. And that's just not what networking is it?
no, not at all. I mean, LinkedIn is super helpful,
Yes.
but for me, your network can be as simple as those people that you used to work with. And if you are looking for a new role, what you'll find is that a lot of the people that you used to work with or work for, that they've moved on and they've started a new role in different companies. So it can be as simple as letting them know that you are looking to move roles or you're looking to move companies. So just actually saying, I am looking for a new role and being really clear on what you're looking for, that's important too. So you can approach someone and say, I've decided that I'm ready for a change. I'm looking for a new challenge. This is the role that I'm thinking. Would you mind keeping an eye out for me? And if you come across anything, either in your existing company or you hear about anything that you think would be a good fit for me, then I'd really appreciate it if you keep me in mind or refer me onto it. And it can be as simple as that.
Yeah.
The other side of networking is the LinkedIn part, which we'll get to. But from a basic perspective, Tracy, what do you think?
Yeah, your network's everyone you know. It's as simple as that, really. And
Yeah.
I've had. So I saw someone in Sainsbury's a couple of weeks ago. This is like on topic, I promise. I saw a person in Sainsbury's a couple of weeks ago who used to live next door but one too. And we just got chatting while we were in the queue waiting to be served. And she said, "Oh, what are you doing now?" I said, "I've set my own business up." Told her a little bit about it. And I said, I work with higher education institutes. She works at a university. And she said, "I'll tell you what, let's have a coffee because I think there might be some opportunities." I didn't really need to do any more than just give her a bit of a précis about what my business does and then leave the door open. You know, we're not talking about inauthentic conversations where you're trying to engineer a sales pitch. Like, it's not MLMs. We're talking about you telling people what you're up to and what you're looking for, and being quite specific so that they know what that is. And then if the opportunity does present itself to them, or they hear of something, they can say, oh, wait a minute, I was chatting to Susie the other day and she said that she was after something like that. That's how the connections work. That's how the networks work. It can just be part of everyday conversations with people. And like you say, letting them know if you're looking for something and what that is, not in sort of a formal sales pitch, but in quite specific terms, then that's really all you need to do in your sort of like broader networks.
I agree. I do think it's worthwhile, before you start putting the word out that you're looking for a new role, I think it's really powerful to be clear on like your elevator pitch. So what is your unique value? What do you do that in you? What is your skill set that makes you different? If you were to kind of say what your superpower is, it's a great way of describing it as well. So really think about what you're good at and then what role you're looking for. Because when you bump into somebody like you did in Sainsbury's, you don't want to fumble your words. You want to give them clarity so that it sticks, and they then leave the conversation with you top of mind. And then if anything does come up where, say it's a project manager role or a program manager role, they think, oh, I was having a conversation with Tracy the other day and she mentioned she's looking for that role. If you give them some blurb that isn't very clear and she leaves or he leaves the conversation without that clarity, he's not going to necessarily join the dots. So I think start with you being clear what you're looking for, and then you can position it. But I agree with you, what you said, Tracy, in that this is not about a sales pitch. You're not trying to pitch yourself. This is just about planting the seed that you're looking for a new role or a new challenge. And if they're aware of anything, so it's super informal. On the flip side of that then, so to be more strategic with your networking on LinkedIn is a really powerful tool that you can use. Do you want to talk a bit around how you would use LinkedIn if you were looking for a new role?
Yeah, I think it's really important to be personable. If you're going to reach out to somebody, make the message that you don't just send a connect without any sort of note. So what I tend to do is find something. So, oh, we've got a mutual connection in Susie. I worked with her at X, Y, and Z. I'm looking for this. It'd be really cool if we could have a catch up. I'd be really interested to find out more. Leave it quite open. Be respectful of the person's time. Be flexible, but make it personal. Because I don't know about you, Susie, I get loads of connect messages from random people. I don't know who they are. I don't know why they're connecting with me, and I never accept them unless they sort of introduce why they're getting in touch with me. So I think being focused, being specific, and making it relevant to that person and personal to them as well. And if you can get someone else to introduce you who you both know, or you can call on that person, that's really useful. But even if you don't know them or don't know anybody that they know, being really clear about why you're asking to connect with them is just a basic start, and it's just basic courtesy. And yes, I get a load of messages, I don't know about you, that I don't know who these people are or why they're trying to connect to me, and it doesn't really encourage me to make those connections with them. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. And when you do connect with someone, the last thing you want is a spammy message that says, here's my freebie, or when you've absolutely no clue who they are and all they're trying to do is cold pitch you, it's a real turn off. I mean, for me, there are things you can do with your LinkedIn. So like making sure that your profile really explains and positions you. It's different if you're working in a role versus if you're looking for a role. You might want to make the odd tweak. If you've already left your previous company, then you can put the open to work piece on your LinkedIn. If you're still working in the company and you're wanting to leave, you might not want to do that because it'll just tell all your employers, Or the people in your company that you're actually looking for a new job, which probably won't go down very well.
No.
You could try linking with connecting with recruiters. I mean, that's another great way. But to actually take action, again, sending people a message, particularly those people who work for organizations that you want to try and work for, sending them a message and explaining that you're looking for a new challenge is really good. I've seen some people actually put their CV on LinkedIn as well. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I think your profile is powerful, but I'm not sure I'd upload my full CV, like have it as an attachment. I have seen that done, but I'm on the fence with that one. I think what is really impactful is having the recommendation section. So previous people that you've worked with or for, it doesn't need to be managers, it can be other colleagues, because when you're looking for a new role, people want to know how you are from a capability and skill set perspective, but they also want to know what you're like to work with. Are you a team player? That kind of thing. So some of the referrals could be good if they're from your colleagues and peers, because then they'll talk about what it's like to work with you, how helpful you are, that kind of thing, how supportive you are. Whereas the dynamic of the recommendation from one of your managers, for example, would be quite different.
Yeah, I think another tip that I've done this year is join groups on LinkedIn that are around my interests. So there's all sorts of communities on LinkedIn. There's change communities or projects or finance communities, depending, I don't know whatever your interest is. And then adding comments onto those kinds of posts, because then I've actually made a few connections where people have contacted me and said, oh, I've seen your name a few times around projects or around change. Is that something you do? Could we have a chat? So it kind of builds your reputation up a little bit and gets you into that community. And that might be where you find out about roles, or you're building your network so that if a role comes up in an organization that somebody in that community works at, you're already part of it and you can make that connection that way. So I think having those sort of communities and groups and commenting on things, looking for people who are influential in an area that you want to work in, or a sector that you want to work in, or an organization, and then commenting on their posts and adding, liking their posts and reacting and stuff. That all gets you sort of known to that person, and then it's easier to make that introduction, and you can then ask them about opportunities that might be coming up. Don't know if you've tried that.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's a really good tip. On the flip side, if you saw a role advertised on LinkedIn, now one of the bugbears that I have is you can apply and it just drops into a black hole and you never hear anything. If you know someone who is working for that organization, then you can always ask them to put a referral through, and sometimes they can refer you through the internal jobs board, and then the chance of your CV actually getting looked at is heightened because it comes from a personal recommendation, particularly if it's somebody who's worked with you previously. So that can be quite powerful. I would definitely say, though, if you apply for a role on LinkedIn, reaching out to the recruiter is another really positive move as well. So making yourself known to that recruiter and demonstrating to them why you're a good fit for the role, because you can't just rely on your CV to do that on its own. That recruiter could have had 500 CVs, and after a while, I mean, from doing recruitment as well, Tracy, you get a bit of like burnout from too many CVs. It's like you just get to a point where you literally cannot read anymore, and then you might be disregarding some really positive candidates because you just can't, or their CV doesn't do them justice. But I think the key thing, back to the networking, the key thing is you don't just need to build your network. You don't have to just build your network when you're looking for a role. You can do it all the time proactively, because in 6 months, in 12 months, you might be wanting to look for a new role. So build your network of people who you're working with in your current organisation. You never know who they're going to work with, or who they're going to know in their connections, or who they've worked with previous. Or maybe they move on and then you've got introduced to a whole new company. I've seen that happen a lot, where people move companies and they take their best people with them. So there's lots of opportunity, but I would say it doesn't need to be something that's mega time draining. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. It doesn't need to be the in-person. There are other ways to build your network that don't involve you going and meeting people at a networking event in person. So
yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think for me, whether it's in person, on LinkedIn, to talk to people you already know, it's be specific, be genuine. Don't get ChatGPT to write a load of spam messages to people. So be specific, be genuine, and just appreciate that you're building that network, and it might come to fruition weeks and weeks or months later. You know, it's not going to be an overnight thing, but it could be you have a chat with, I don't know, Sarah at the school gates. You drop in that you're looking for a project manager role. She happens to work at the local council, and 3 months down the line, a role comes up and she said, "Oh, are you still looking for a project manager role?" You just don't know where those seeds are going to land and where they're going to grow. So keep it straightforward, keep it personal, and keep it genuine. And I think then that's the way you really build your network.
Amazing. I think they're great tips. Fabulous. Well, I hope everyone that's watched this gets massive value from the tips that we've shared. Please feel free to reach out to either of us if you want to know more, or if you want to have a chat with us about this topic or any of the others. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and hit the bell for notifications. Bye.